What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Classic Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 4th Doctor Tom Baker story, Horror of Fang Rock. This is another, well, I'd say is a fan favourite story for a lot of people. It is one that I have seen before, however, couldn't really remember anything of it, and now that I've watched it back, yeah, definitely couldn't remember anything of it from original viewing when I saw it a few years ago. This was pretty much brand new to me, I'd say. So yeah, I was interested to see this one again, but basically also for the first time in a way. So yeah, this is Horror of Fang Rock by Terrance Dicks. A mysterious light in the sky, an unnatural glow in the ocean, and a thick fog brings terror to the lighthouse keepers of Fang Rock. When the Doctor and Leela arrive, the first death has already cast doubts on the safety of the lighthouse, but the Doctor discovers something more terrifying and evil that even he could not have imagined. Yeah, very short little synopsis on the back of the DVD there, but yeah, basically Doctor and Leela come to Fang Rock, which is just basically a little island of rocks with a lighthouse on it, and somebody's been murdered. The murders keep happening, and it's really just a murder mystery story. That's really what this is, a very murder mystery story. So anyway, let's get started, starting off with the cast. So Tom Baker is the 4th Doctor. What else do I have to say? He's really good. I honestly don't think I even really need to do this segment anymore. You know, with the cast, I will keep on doing it, but there's not really much else I can say apart from he's good. There's no like standout scenes here, I don't think. There was one, but I didn't write it down. It was something that he said. I can't remember if it was I think it was a funny line, but I can't 100% remember what it was right now. But you know, he has those one-off funny lines. He also has a couple of serious lines. And altogether, Tom Baker's just great. I mean, when is he not? Even in his final season, I think he has his rough moments here and there, but altogether he's still pretty good. So yeah, definitely nothing bad to say there. Same goes for Louise Jameson as Leela. I really love Leela. I like her more and more every time I watch her. She's just such a different companion. I love how because she is from the distant past, one of the few companions actually that is from the past. You either get them more commonly in present day, or now and again in the future. Having someone from the past is very different, and I really like it. You know, so that kind of plays into it very well when we're in more modern settings, especially, you know, the words that get used. She doesn't know what any of these weird words mean, words that we know, and the Doctor clearly knows, and he has even, when the Doctor says like really complicated words and normal people don't understand, but then you think what Leela must think, like she's so far back, she's medieval, well not medieval, but like primeval times, you know, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I really like Leela. I think she is very good. Alright, so on to the good and the bad, starting off with the good. Leela, she's not understanding modern times. I really like that. Like I said before, I think it's just a cool thing for her character, something quite different for a companion. I mean, you know, there's words that people say, I can't remember 100% what it is, but there's something at the start of this, there's when they first enter the lighthouse, and what's the guy's name? Vince, is it? Vince Hawkins, I think is his name. One of the lighthouse keepers, I don't know what you want to call them. He brings the Doctor and Leela in, and then, you know, she wants to change into some warmer clothes. She just starts undressing right there in front of him, and he's like, oh, okay, because he's like, you know, we don't have any female clothes here. She's like, oh, it's alright, I'll just wear this, whatever you guys are wearing. And she just starts getting undressed right there, and he's like, oh, okay. And just some of the words she uses, some of the things she says, the way she was just like eating, just like scoffing everything down, and then using her knife, just whimsy here and there, just, I don't know, just the way she acts and everything is really good in pretty much every story I've seen of her. And yeah, that's definitely the case here. It's got a very dark and gloomy feel about it, this episode. And that's probably my favourite thing about this episode, this story. It feels so dark. Now, Tom Baker's era is known for those kind of horror kind of stories. I can't remember what they call it exactly. There's a name for it, but yeah, you know, those horror type stories. Tom Baker's era is the best for these. It just fits so well with his Doctor, just with his era and everything. Has some great, is it Hammer horror? I think it's Hammer horror they call it, isn't it? And it has such a feel of that. This is a very dark story, in not just in what's happening with all the people dying and stuff, because yeah, that's pretty dark. A lot of death in this one. But just the look of it. I mean, there's not that much lighting going on. It's very dark. I mean, you've got the lighthouse, but a lot of the time that's off because it keeps going off with the power. And just, you know, everything's just so dark. It's pretty much always nighttime, I'm fairly sure, and with the fog as well, that also makes it pretty, you know, atmospheric and gloomy. There's just a really atmospheric feel about the story. It's probably my favorite thing about the story, just the atmosphere. A great deal of suspense and mystery as well. Another thing that the story's really good at. Very suspenseful, very mysterious. Like I said, it's pretty much a murder mystery. We're trying to find out who or what killed all these people. People are getting knocked off one by one by one. And it's just a really interesting, suspenseful story. I do quite enjoy it. It just really gets you hooked in. Ruben is pretty creepy once he's been possessed. Yeah, I thought Ruben, the character, the guy who played Ruben, I don't know his name off the top of my head, I haven't got it written down or anything, but yeah, Ruben was a really creepy character once he'd been possessed. He was the only one, I think, that we saw possessed, was he? I'm fairly sure. That guy at the beginning I don't think got possessed, I can't remember, but Ruben was the main one anyway. Well, I say possessed, it's a bit weird how it works. Kind of the Rutans, who were the enemies of this story, I don't think they really possess people. They kind of, I don't know, they almost like transform into them. It's a bit of a weird concept that's going on there, but yeah, nonetheless, I think he did a really good job with the acting. Really creepy, just good stuff there. And then finally for the good stuff, because I'm going to be honest, I don't have a lot to say about this story. Going through the story, like I said, I really like the atmosphere and the feel and the suspense and the mystery of it. But plot-wise, it was a good plot, but there wasn't that much and that many significant moments that really got me to put many notes down for either good or bad, to be honest. So this is actually probably one of the shorter lists I've had. But yeah, everyone apart from the Doctor and Leela die in this story. Everyone, literally everyone. Now, granted, it's not a massive cast, but still, you've got, in the whole cast, you've got the Doctor and Leela, they survive. Then you've got Ruben, he dies. You've got Vince, he dies. You've got all of the crew of that ship that crashed, which there is what? Oh well, no. Before that, you've got I've forgotten his name, but the first guy who died in the lighthouse. You've got him as well. So that's 3. Then you've got all the people from the ship, which I believe there was 1, 2, 3, 4 of. I'm pretty sure there was 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 7 people dead. 7 people out of the 9 in the story died. Doctor and Leela were the only ones that didn't die. That's pretty crazy. It's very rare that Doctor Who does this, where pretty much everyone dies. Only other story I can think of off the top of my head that I've seen is Resurrection of the Daleks. There's a lot more death in that one, because there's a lot more characters. But just the fact that they get knocked off one by one, by one, by one, and then we're just left with the Doctor and Leela trying to defeat this thing, it's just, I don't know, it's really, really interesting and really cool. Alright, so on to the bad. There's only really one thing I want to say off the top of my head from what I've written down, and that is the Rutans are just jellyfish. Now, this is where when I found out what the Rutans actually were, that's when I knew that I couldn't remember anything about the story, because I couldn't remember what the Rutans look like. Remember, the Rutans are quite often referred to as the Sontarans' mortal enemy. They're in an age-old war with the Sontarans. I mean, it's still going on now, I think. It's just ridiculous how much, because I mean, obviously the Sontarans, they're just born and bred for war. No pun intended there with the box set. Yeah, the Rutans are the race that they fight against in their big war, in their biggest war. But this is the only time I believe we ever get to see the Rutans. And I'm going to be honest, I was expecting something a little bit different. They are just jellyfish. Now, I remember the first time we saw the Rutans in, I'm not sure if it was part 2 or 3. This is a 4-parter, by the way. It was either part 2 or 3 we got to see the Rutan for the first time. And it was just a jellyfish going up the wall, or I think it was in the ocean first. And I wasn't 100% sure if that was actually a Rutan at first. I thought, okay, this is, I don't know, some creature that the Rutans are using for something. It's not actually a Rutan. But then, and it's really not until the end of the story, we actually find out that, no, that is actually a Rutan. It's just a jellyfish. Now granted, yes, it can basically electrocute someone to death and transform into them or something. I'm not 100% sure how that worked, but it can do that. But then at the same time, it seems to move very slowly. I mean, very slowly when it's in its primitive, normal form as a jellyfish, but also pretty slowly when it's a human. Never saw him running. Ruben was always just kind of, walking around pretty slowly. So that was a bit disappointing for me. I'm going to be honest, it was. They weren't as menacing as I was hoping. And, I like the fact that the Doctor didn't know what the villain was until right at the end. But at the same time, it did feel like a bit of an anticlimax. I didn't mind the way they ended it as well. How they used that diamond to blow up, the ship or whatever it was. It was okay, maybe a little bit rushed. It was a bit of an anticlimax though, I thought. Yeah, just the Rutans being jellyfish. Alright, so, Horror of Fang Rock. What did I think? Well, it's a tough one for me. I'm going to be honest, it's not a classic like a lot of people say. A lot of people say this is one of the best stories. And I don't quite put it to that high. I mean, they say that, this is the story that comes straight after Robots of Death and The Tales of Weng-Chiang. Both stories that I gave 10 out of 10s. I can't give Horror of Fang Rock a 10 out of 10 though, personally. I'm actually going to give it, and this might change. At the moment, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I was contemplating maybe a 9, and maybe I will move that up to a 9 at some point, but at the moment it's an 8.5. I think the atmosphere and the feel of the story was brilliant. One of the best atmospheres and feels of a story ever. However, at the same time, and I like the build-up of what was going on. However, at the same time, it's only a 4-parter, and I didn't really get bored throughout it, but it did feel like it was going a bit slow at times. It was creeping up there, but sometimes a bit too slowly. And then just what finished it off for me was just the Rutans just being jellyfish. I just thought it was a bit anticlimactic. I was expecting something more, I don't know. I can't really imagine those being in a war with the Sontarans, really, I just can't. But it's a good story, don't get me wrong, it's just not one of my favourites, so an 8.5 out of 10 it is. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Go and follow me on Twitter, link is in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.